running isn't the best method of conditioning, which like, it's just not. There's no like way around that, especially like MMA to any of the other combat sports. You're going to need strong, powerful hips. You're going to need good mobility, ability to rotate through the body, all of that stuff. The strength stuff, if you're doing squats and you can't squat 400 pounds and you keep just loading 400 pounds onto the bar and trying to squat it, you're never going to squat 400 pounds. But if you take it down to 300 and do reps and steadily build up, 4 to 6 weeks later, you can probably squat 400.
If I want to build a bigger gas tank for fighting, what would you suggest?
So the biggest thing people forget when it comes to conditioning is
Kenny Dusseault, trainer of champions.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you.
Why did you want to be a coach?
So that's a great question. I started when I was like 15 years old. I started coaching students at my high school in powerlifting at the time.
Okay.
And honestly, why I wanted to be a coach, it's hard to put my finger on it. There was just always something in me that I loved being around sports. I loved like the competitive nature of it and everything like that.
Did you compete at anything?
I competed in powerlifting and I was a hockey player growing up.
Good.
And it was always, that was the thing that I was just excited about all the time. Like I'd be going to school and just kind of dealing with school and just loved the idea of being around sports.
Okay.
But then I was like 13 or 14 when I started lifting weights. And it was very early, very apparent that like, I'm not going to be an athlete at a high level. Like I just wasn't coordinated and wasn't all that skilled in anything that I was doing.
Okay.
But when I stepped into the gym for the first time, like the first time I ever did deadlifts, I deadlifted 300 pounds.
Fuck me.
When I was like 16. And like, so I just always had that natural strength, but never had coordination or skill.
Built to be a power lifter? Like,
oh yeah. When I was a kid, I always had like family members being like, this kid's either gonna actually when I was like 5 or 6, I had family members thinking I was going to be a professional boxer because I was just so like thick and strong.
Nice.
And so like the gym was just my favorite place ever. And then I loved being around sports. I had no idea strength and conditioning was really a thing.
Back then it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's like, I just had such a love for it that it's like, I spent all my time doing it. And then over time I was like, if there's a way I could get paid to do this instead of like, I was on the path to going to be a teacher.
Really?
And then like in first year university, I was like, kind of just like, it hit me one day. I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I'm going to spend 4 years at school to get a degree I don't want, to maybe get a job I don't want that doesn't pay well for life.
Yeah. And I think the schooling system right now is
horrible.
Fucked up.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yes.
And it's like, so eventually it just like, I hit that point where I was like, I could actually make money doing this thing that I'm just doing for fun. I'd rather try that, fail, and then go be a teacher.
That took balls though, dude, right? To leave what you were sort of on the road to be.
Yeah.
And to actually leave, that took some balls.
Oh, for sure. Because it's like, especially when you tell people, yeah, I want to train professional athletes, the reaction always like you get the face and then you get the,
well, you need something to fall back on.
Yeah, either what's plan B or like, well, what are you going to do once you finish doing that? And then it's like, well, no, like that's the goal. And it's like, well, but like what? Like, do people make money doing that? Like it was always just the 100 questions about like how you're going to survive. Right. But it's like, it was just the passion.
If you do anything outside the norm, that there's always going to be the reaction from people that sort of like the mainstream society that are like question the intelligence of your choice.
100%. But like the funniest part with that too is like, it took me a long time to realize, but it's like, it comes from love. Like it's the, they want you to be okay. And they hear you, it's like, talk about this like crazy, weird dream. And they're like, that doesn't really seem to make sense. Like, why don't you do something that makes a little more sense? And I just didn't have it in me. Like 9 to 5 lifestyle, like that it never felt right.
Yeah, and good, dude. Like that's an entrepreneurial sort of mentality.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's out of love all the time though. Sometimes
not all the time.
I wonder if, because I had that experience with certain family members where they questioned, because back in the day I wanted to be a comic book artist.
Yeah.
And then I went into advertising and then I went into like various endeavors. And I've had family members that were always like, well, maybe you should just do this and play it safe and get a 9 to 5 job and, fucking get married, have kids, blah, blah, blah. Like, fuck off with that shit. Some people are not designed for that cookie cutter existence.
Yeah. But I found like with family of mine, like it was 9 to 5 was always the thing. Like it was, and like, so when there was like question of that, I realized much later, it was like, it was just wanting me to be okay and thinking that
Yeah.
this thing I was thinking was kind of crazy and just not understanding it.
Hmm.
Right. But then it's like, once you've created it, then it's like, oh yeah, okay, I see what he was doing. Like,
Nice.
but it's a vision that like I didn't even see the whole vision, right? So it's like, how can I expect someone else to hear it and like get it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you just had faith that it would work out?
Dude, honestly, in the beginning, I had no idea. I just knew I'd rather spend my time in the gym and talking to athletes than trying to be a teacher. And I was like, the idea of doing all this other stuff just sounded like there was something about it that I was like, I can't motivate myself to go to these classes and do these things. Like, I was skipping school to go spend time in the gym. And then eventually
Right.
I was like, why am I not just trying to do this all the time?
What kind of teacher were you going to be?
Languages.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you speak other languages?
I speak French. I like picked up a little bit of Spanish in school, but it was just like, I always kind of had a knack for it, like on trips as a kid.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Nice.
I remember we went to Holland. I was talking to my parents about this last night, actually. We went to Holland, and like when I was like 11 or 12, and I picked up enough, like I don't remember it now, but I
Yes.
picked up enough that I was like having conversations with
Wow.
people in Dutch, like very basic conversations, but
Still good.
right. So it's like I always kind of had a knack for it. So I was like, that'll be the direction I go. And then the thought of going to school for the rest of my life, I was like, oh my God.
Okay, so you at 15 had the inclination to coach.
Yeah.
You went to school, university to be a languages teacher.
Yeah.
How did it go from there?
I was about 2 months in, realized that I was skipping all my classes to spend time at the gym, and then thought
That's a
I probably
sign.
shouldn't keep paying for this degree. Ended up switching to a degree in sports studies and athletic development.
Oh, nice.
So like something that was going to lead towards doing this.
What does that entail?
It's kind of a mix. Like there's kinesiology,
Yep.
kinesiology, sports psychology, and then like business management, kind of like basically a mix of all three.
Sure.
At the university at the time, I was like the fourth graduating class. So there was like,
Nice.
it was still a little uncertain, but
Define the sports psychology aspect of it.
like a lot of it was just talking about like different things that you'll see athletes deal with, like burnout and overwhelm, and like why people will like fold in competition and stuff like
Nice.
that, like things that come up mentally in sport. And so got to learn about like a lot of the physical and the mental side of it, right?
I think that's perfect.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
Do you think athletes fail more because of the mental game or the physical
Oh yeah.
limitations?
The physical limitations I think are the baseline, but people get stuck in the baseline of like, if I just become a physical specimen, then I'll be great. But
Yes.
it's like, if you don't know how to handle pressure, you can be the greatest athlete in the world. You're still not going to do well. Right.
I think the mental game, and we've had a number of guests on here, Dr. Dana Sinclair, Mindset Mike, the mental aspect, I think transcends not only sports, but your just life in general.
Everything.
I think you need to be mentally tough.
Everything. Business, especially. That's been a lesson I've been learning time
Yes.
and time again over
Yeah.
the last few years.
Yes, yeah, we had that conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, so you graduated.
Yeah.
And then what?
And then spent a year back in Ottawa working at that's where I grew up, and spent a year back there working at a hockey training performance center.
Nice.
Gym was like kind of barely getting by. Like I had like 10 hours a week, making like $800 a month, and
Wow.
like kind of just getting through. But again, through the whole time, right, it was like, this was never a realistic path, but I kept just like, I'd hit the point and I'm like, I'd rather be making shitty money doing this than make a salary doing something else.
And again, that takes balls because you have everybody around you, perhaps loved ones, suggesting that, you know, buddy, this isn't working out for you. You're fucking eating scraps. But again, I have to commend you
Thank
on
you.
the fact that you powered through to get to your goal. Most people
Yeah.
won't do that, man. Most people will fucking take the easy road, get a shitty job that they fucking hate just so they have that security.
Well, and every time I remember, like, I kept setting the times, right, where I was like, okay, if I'm 26 and I'm still not doing anything with it, then, you know, that's when I'll go get a job. Then I turn 26 and I'm like, no, not yet.
Right.
Okay, but when I'm 28, no, not yet. Okay, when I'm not, and it just like kept kind of pushing the number back
Did you see progression?
slightly.
Okay, but
Like,
still.
yeah, there were some changes, but it was like, it took till 29 before I was like actually making a living, like a real living at it.
Right.
And then, like we talked about, just the last few years, it's really taken off. But like every year, I remember it was like, I just would hit the point and I'd sit down and think about it. And I'd think about the idea of like, you know, 9 to 5 doing whatever. I'm like, no, even though I'm like barely getting through, like this is still, I would still rather do this and barely get through than go do that. And it's like every time I felt that, I was like, I'm going to keep going, like until the day where I'm like, I'd rather just have a secure paycheck coming in. I'm going to keep doing it. And that day just never came until this became the secure paycheck.
Nice. Okay. So from the teaching of hockey, then what?
Then got let go from that job because the gym wasn't surviving. And so they were cutting down their staff and everything. And then basically sat on my computer one night and like just started Googling strength and conditioning jobs in Canada, sent out like 60 different resumes. One got back to me, a gym in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah.
And picked up and moved across the country to go work there. Ended up being there for 2 years. We talked a little bit about that already.
Yeah.
And just hit the point with that job where I was like, you know what? I can do this better on my own.
Make more money.
Tried to do it better on my own. And here we are 6 years later, and it's going so much better on my own.
When you left that gym, how long did it take you to start actually, first of all, seeing progress, and not even to the point you are now? Because it's very easy to be on the top of the mountain and say, I knew it was going to happen. It's the struggle on the way up when you still have to be confident despite all the other things in your life telling you that this is not going as it should.
Yeah.
And again, it's very hard to do that.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I left that gym, we kind of like it wasn't going great. And like, they had a lot of turnover of coaches and stuff like that. And like, I'm grateful for the time I had there because like I learned a ton, and I know I wouldn't be where I'm at without the time I spent there. But at the same time, it's like, it just hit the point where I was like, I'm just trying to get through the day at this point. Like it's not it took all the enjoyment out of actually coaching people.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like when I ended up leaving,
you said you were working like fucking 90 hours a week.
Dude, it was psychotic. Like it was like typical kind of in-person training jobs. It was like when they had hours, they didn't try to fit it into a schedule. They were just like, oh, you want to come in at 7 a.m. on Saturday? Cool. Kenny doesn't have hours at 7 a.m. on Saturday. We'll throw him in there. So it's like whenever a client came in, they would just throw people in. So it's like your schedule was all over the map every day. And like just hit the point where I'm like, I'm at the gym 90 hours a week. I'm getting paid, not working 90 hours a week kind of money.
So if you weren't training someone, you weren't getting paid?
No. Like it was a yearly salary. So it's like technically we coached 40 hours a week.
Right.
But it's like if you're in the gym at 6 and then at 8 and then at 10:30 and then at noon and then at 2:30 and 4 and 5 and 6. Yeah, that's a 7-hour day, but it's a 15-hour span to do your 7 hours. Right. So it's like we were technically getting paid our 8 hours for the day. And it's like between sessions, I'm not working. But if you have an hour between
what are you going to do?
Sessions, you're like, OK, I'm going to sit upstairs and do nothing for 45 minutes and then come down for my next session. Like it was just like it wasn't like a split shift even. Right. It was just kind of every day all over the map. So it just hit the point where it's like, I can't live like this forever, know?
No, you would suffer from burnout.
And like with no upside, right? It's like, it'd be one thing, like I don't mind working 90 hours a week.
Fuck that.
Like, but it's like, if it's my business now working 90 hours a week, you get the return, and it's like, hey, now opportunities are coming and the bank account is stacking. Like, so I have no problem working hard, but it's working that much for no return with no possibility of more return. Like there just hit a point where I was like, I'm going to do this forever. Like, I don't think so.
Yes. Fair enough. All right. So you left, started your, is that when you started on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. Take me through that.
Whew, good fun journey. Talking about like the mental side of things. This was where I really realized like being successful at anything, it's so much more about who you're trying to become than the actual outcome. Because like, in the beginning, I had the belief that I think a lot of coaches and trainers have, that it's like, if you do this for a living, you're just going to be poor forever. And it's like, because that's kind of the narrative when you start. Oh yeah. When you start into this industry, it's like, oh, coaches, like personal trainers don't make money. It's like, okay, but it's possible if you learn how to do it.
Sure. Why can't it be?
But then like, as somebody who we didn't grow up poor by any stretch. Like we grew up in a great environment, but money was always a discussion. It was always like, how do we save a little bit here, a little bit there? And so my mentality was always, I want to do things inexpensive. I want to do things cheap and like trying to save money all the time. And then I'm in an industry where I'm kind of always told, people in this industry don't make money. And so naturally, when I came into it, it was like, I was undercharging every client. Like I was charging clients like, it was like $100 for like training for the month in like groups. So it was like groups. So in my mind, I was like, it's groups, so it should be cheaper. But I was just doing it way too cheap.
Right.
And it was like, so I was again overworked and underpaid, but now it was my own doing. And it was like, what really helped, I hired business coaches a few years ago, and they've built a great business for themselves. So they were able to kind of teach me like, hey, you got to learn to value your time and learn.
Yes.
Like it was a lot of lessons about like, why do you think the way you do? Why do you think about money the way you do, about like life and business the way you do? And like shifting that to understand whatever you want life to look like, you can create
100%.
But it's up to you to actually like take the risks and do the things and create it.
No one's going to give you shit.
Yeah. So it was like the first 3 years was a lot of struggle and a lot of like ripping your hair out, trying to figure out how you were going to make it through the month.
Did you ever think about giving up?
There were moments, but the same conversation as like the first few years of like, I'd be sitting there like not sure how I was going to pay rent on the first, and then be like, I'd rather be here than sitting in an office doing something I don't like. So it just like, there was never a moment where it was like a real consideration, but that conversation would come up every like 4 to 6 months where I'm like, is this worth it? Yeah, it's worth it. Okay, let's keep going.
So you said you had the business coaches.
Yeah.
Did they change? So you're suggesting that you had to change your mentality.
So much of it was about that. Cause it's like, I had this negative view of money where it was like, you know, I didn't want to overcharge. So I went so far the other direction.
Do you think you devalued what you're offering?
100%. And it's like, it's confidence and belief in yourself. And in the beginning, that lacked for whatever reason. So in my head, I was like, well, I can't charge too much because I don't know if I'm worth it.
Wow. Okay.
And so for so long, it was like, do everything in exchange for nothing. And I think coming from that previous job, right, we're working all the time for little to no money. In my head, I was like, that's what you have to do in this industry. Right. So I set myself up to do the same thing until meeting these guys where they were like, dude, you're out of your mind. What are you doing? Why are you not charging more money? And like, they kind of showed me it's not a bad thing to charge more money for a good service. No, it's like, be better at what you do and you can charge more for it. And that's not bad.
Know your value, know your worth. And again, that is not only a business thing. Even in relationships, you hear quite often where the woman or the man is treated like shit and they think that's okay because they don't have an adequate assessment of their worth. I think we do ourselves a also don't be a fucking idiot and think you're worth more than you are, but you should know your worth.
Yeah. And I think that was where I struggled for a long time. It was like in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't want to overvalue myself. So I went so far the other way that I wouldn't come off like I was like, you know, this cocky guy overvaluing himself.
Right. That
I so far undervalued myself that I set myself up for the same burnout that I was kind of in these other jobs. But eventually learning more about me and like, okay, what do I actually want life to look like? How can I go about creating it? What am I worth? Like, okay, I am good at what I do. I have all this experience. It started teaching me like, it's okay to, you know, make a little bit of money and have a good business that creates a better life.
If you're helping others, as you are, you deserve to be compensated.
Exactly right. And it's like, but it was so much more about learning those lessons than it was about any one business thing. Right.
It's funny because I was rolling on Saturday and my jits coach has a particular mentality about, it's not about that technique, it's about the philosophy.
Yeah.
So when you sort of understand the philosophy of a particular movement, the technique isn't as important. He's like, in jits, there's thousands of techniques.
Yeah.
He goes, but if you understand the basic concept, the philosophy of it, he goes, the techniques come.
Yeah.
And I think that translates into, again, that's why I love the martial arts.
Yeah.
Because it's these philosophies translate not just into fighting, but into just overall life experience.
Yeah.
So for you, when you were taught to know your worth, you were approaching it from a business perspective, but it's also a life lesson.
Well, and it comes off in so many other ways, right? It's like, as I started learning that from the business perspective, it started shifting my view on that kind of stuff in relationships and all that as well, where it's like, you know, for so long growing up in my head, I was like, oh, I need to prove myself to be worthy of the relationship. And then I'm like, it shifted where I'm like, yeah, I want to be a good person in a relationship, but like, she's also got to be a good person to me. Like, it's just like all these little things. What do you
bring to the table?
Right? It was like all these little things that started shifting that I'm like, oh, right. Like, yeah, I need to be a good guy, but also like, Like if she sucks, then that's not a good relationship. Like, it's
100%.
not up to me to, you know,
100%.
you start seeing your worth in so many other areas of life too.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. And it's like, but it is so much that mental lesson of like, it's
That's
about,
good that you learned it.
yeah, it's about who you are more so than any one technique or anything like that. It's about the philosophy.
Right. All right. So you left, you made the jump and you struggled.
Oh yeah.
How did you start to get the attention of athletes?
So the biggest thing was social media. I always knew that social media was a good tool for business, especially in the beginning. I was listening to Gary Vaynerchuk all the time. It's like, you got to be posting every day. So I was doing that already. I just had no idea how to use it. So it's like I was putting stuff up there, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So it's like it was just doing the reps, but they weren't good. And then it was
well said.
Yeah, but then it was like in the business coaching program, that was a big thing that they taught us, was like how to, you know, speak to the people that you want to speak to, who those people are, what struggles they have, all these different things. So it's like over time, I basically learned, it's like, oh, if I want people to pay attention or I want people to, you know, get value from me, I actually have to speak to things that they care about.
Yes. The only problem is when you speak to people about things that people are passionate about, you inevitably get these fucking idiots, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And I experience that all the time. And I am very combative, right? I love conflict. So even if you say something stupid to me, you should ignore it. You shouldn't embrace the trolls. I'm like, fucking let's go, right? Even just dumb shit, right? Empire Strikes Back is the best movie in the Star Wars franchise. And then I'm like, I'm so juvenile about it, dude. I have no maturity level for that shit. Somebody just fucking today talked. I did a post about something that's happening in Canada and somebody wrote something stupid. I'm like, who the fuck you talking to? Right? Like, and I should ignore it. I'm not mature enough. So how do you deal with people talking shit? Because when people are talking shit about you, I would imagine that they are sort of questioning your technical skill.
Oh yeah. Well, it's something I've faced a lot. Like I remember, and it's funny because I remember like the first major time that it had happened. Like I had a couple of people that made some comments, but it's like the first major time it happened, there was another page that works with a similar type of avatar, and they like reposted one of my videos and then made like 4 stories about how what I was saying was stupid and wrong and people shouldn't listen to it.
Yes.
And I brought that to like a friend of mine that also coaches, and I was like, dude, like what do I do? I was like freaking out, and he just stopped me. He was like, they're doing this because you're making noise. Like they're doing this because they're like, oh, this guy's taking some of the attention here now. Like there's something happening here that we need to be worried about. Let's pull him down.
That is such a cunt thing for people to do.
Yeah.
Yes, I use that word.
In Australia and New Zealand, it's rude not to use that word. That's what I always
There, I'm an Aussie. It's just like people use social media to bring people down.
Yeah.
Dude, do you use Threads?
I don't really look at it.
Oh,
it just gains followers. It just gains followers because Instagram does, and then people follow me there. But it's just whatever gets put on Instagram just gets put on there too.
Really?
I don't really use it that much.
Oh, it is such a liberal playground. Like I posted something, I got attacked like fucking crazy. And I'm like, all right. So I'm fighting with this one, fighting with this one. It's just that Threads is insane.
Yeah.
And like for me, like if I post an opinion and people shit on it, like whatever.
Yeah.
But for you, they're shitting on your actual experience, your skill, your mindset.
Oh, yeah.
I would be worse.
Yeah. Well, the thing, like in the beginning, it would always get me. Like it was like somebody, you know, I'd post one of my favorite ones. Running isn't the best method of conditioning, which like, it's just not. There's no like way around that.
Okay.
It's not the run that's important. It's the conditioning you build from it. If you're building that with a run, an air bike, whatever, doesn't matter.
Okay.
But people in fighting, I'm sure you've come across it. Running is like God's gift to the sport. If you're not running 10 miles a day, how are you going to, it's like when you really break it down, it doesn't actually translate the way that people think it does.
One of your posts that was interesting that I watched on the weekend is you talk about how to build a bigger gas tank.
Yeah.
Right. And you had the small one, you brought the big one. That was very good. And then you talk about how you should be. So, you know what? Why don't you, if I want to build a bigger gas tank for fighting, what would you suggest?
So the biggest thing people forget when it comes to conditioning is what the goal of the conditioning is. And it's like, if you're a professional MMA fighter in a non-championship setting, it's 3 5-minute rounds of throwing punches and kicks, grappling, etc.
Yes.
So it's like, what people do is they just think the more conditioning I do, the better results I get.
Okay.
But they skip over the different elements of conditioning. They just think it's all about the work. But it's like, if you throw a combination, that's an entirely different strain on your system than grappling for 5 minutes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Not that one is like more important than the other. You need both at least for MMA.
Yep.
Right. But what people do is they do all of the endurance. They forget about this side. Then they're throwing hard combinations. They're gassing out and they're like, oh, but I'm doing all this conditioning and I'm still gassing out. It's like, yeah, because you're not addressing one whole area of what you need in the sport. So it's like, basically, to sum it up super simple, and like there's more to it than this, but you can go so deep that like we could spend the whole hour just on that.
Yep.
But the aerobic system is your baseline. So that's just like, if you're in a car, that's just your ability to kind of maintain your speed. You're not trying to race. You're just trying to go at a good speed the whole distance. Mm-hmm. The lactic system is the energy, like muscle endurance. So it's like, that like heavy, slow feeling in the arms and legs. That's this system helps delay that from happening.
So delaying the onset of lactic acid buildup?
It's not lactic acid. Like when you break it down on the technical side, it's not actually lactic acid. But basically like that feeling of that buildup.
Yes.
The lactic system is what delays that from happening. So instead of it happening 7 minutes in, it happens 14 minutes in.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And then the alactic system is the power. So that's just like, you're trying to put as much as you can into one combination.
Yep.
And then repeating that.
Right.
Right. So it's not necessarily about the overall volume of the work you're doing. It's about addressing each area of the conditioning that you're doing as effectively as possible.
Okay.
That kind of makes sense. Like there's so much depth you can go into.
Sure.
But it's more about understanding what's required from the sport rather than just how hard can you work.
Georges St. Pierre once said that in order to be good or have better performance or endurance at a particular sport, train for that sport, right?
Yeah.
So let's take jiu-jitsu, for example.
Yeah.
Or wrestling. How does one build up their gas tank in that specific sport?
So basically for any of them, what you do is you just look more at the like what's required for that specifically. So like wrestling, when you go to shoot a takedown,
yes,
right? You need the explosive power in the hips. You need good extension from the ankles to the knees to the hips.
Yes.
And then you need the ability to maintain high levels of pressure the whole time.
Yes.
Right? So it's like when you're building the program,
yes,
what most people do again is it's just like how hard and how long can you go? But if you're going for a 2-hour run,
yes,
that's at a very slow pace the whole time. Is it hard? Yes. Is that the pace that translates to the wrestling mats? No.
Yes, I agree.
Right. So it's about bringing down the overall duration.
Yes.
But making what you're doing match the intensity, the demands, and everything of the sport. And so like where people go wrong is then the other side, they're like, okay, I'll just do more of the sport. I'll just wrestle more.
Yes, yes, yes.
And like that's good, but if you're not building up the strength in the ankles, the knees, and the hips, there's only so much power you can put behind that takedown.
Oh, very interesting.
Right. But if you're like, and again, squats is one example, but if you're doing squats a few times a week, building up the strength in the legs,
yes,
and then doing, things like box jumps and other things that are building up the power in the legs.
Yes.
Now you've built up your ability to like use more power. Now, when you go to do that same takedown, you've got more power behind it and it's not using as much of your energy. Right. So like strength and conditioning is the supplement to the skills training. What we're doing should never exhaust you so much that you can't go do jujitsu or can't go box or whatever it is. But it's just building up the movement patterns, building up the strength through the range of motion, building up the ability to like rotate through your whole body, all these things you need for the sport. And if you can do that all to if you have a better ability to do all those things, you now put a better athlete into the sport that now is able to perform the sport at a higher level.
And so to your theory, the strength and conditioning one should do for a particular sport would change based on jits, let's just say any kind of stand-up hockey, football.
Yeah.
There's
similarities,
I would presume,
because it's like, especially like MMA to any of the other combat sports, you're going to need strong, powerful hips. You're going to need good mobility, ability to rotate through the body, all of that stuff. But then it's like for a pure grappler, we're
Yes.
going to focus more on muscle endurance because we know it's all that, right? You don't need the explosive repeatability of the stand up to the same degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. You still need it, but it's not like, whereas if I have a boxer,
Yes.
there's a lot more just like explode, relax. Whereas the grappler, it's a lot more just continuous pace.
Right.
Right. So it's like there's similarities. The way I put it is we don't build an MMA fighter, a boxer, a jiu-jitsu athlete.
Yes.
We build athletes that now can do the sport at a higher level because they're stronger, they're faster, they're more explosive, they're better conditioned.
Okay. Very good. How would one build up their hips?
So hips, I mean, with any area as well, but
Yes.
it's like most people, they go mobility, right?
Yep.
It's just like if they can move better, then
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
But you've also got to have the strength in that range.
Yes.
If you're just stretching, the muscle opens up.
Yes.
And then you stop stretching, the muscle kind of just comes back to where it is. But if you're stretching and then you're actually building strength in that area, now you're teaching your body be stronger through more range of motion.
Nice.
Right. So it's like one of the things we focus on is figure out where the limitations are.
Okay.
Right.
How do you assess that?
We just get the athlete, like now we work online, so
Yes.
I'm not actually watching it as
Yes.
much, but we get the athletes to do certain exercises and they just tell us, they're like, hey, when I do this one, I feel, this problem, something like that. And then based off of what they're seeing or what they're feeling in themselves, or we get videos from them. And then based off of what they're feeling there, we go, okay, that's internal rotation in the hips. And then in the program, in the warm up every day, we'll have 1 or 2 extra internal rotation exercises for the hips. It's not like some drastic thing where we're like, that's going to be our one and only focus.
Right.
But every time we see there's a limitation or a problem, we just add 1 or 2 things in each workout to focus on that thing. So we're just making slight improvements with it over time.
Nice. Do you find that athletes are aware of their limitations?
For the most part, they're pretty good because
Okay.
and if they're really unsure, I just tell them, listen, send me a video and
Yeah.
we'll take a look and we'll see.
Right.
Because a lot of the time, like fighters too, a lot of the time we'll get like, no, everything's fine. And then it's like, you see them and they're like, or they're like, yeah, my hip aches all the time, but like, it's all good. And you're like, no, it's not supposed to do that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, they want to kind of shove it down sometimes. And when we get those guys, I just tell them, I'm like, send me a video so I can see it. And then me and my team look at it, figure out, okay, we're struggling a little here, struggling a little there. And then we make the adjustments to the program based off that.
Outstanding. I may actually hit you up for this.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah. And I presume injuries come into play as well.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time. And like a big thing with strength and conditioning too that gets overlooked is health of the body,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
if you're fighting and like, I don't care how many hours you put in, if you come into a fight with 2 bad knees, a busted back, and a shoulder that can't throw a right hand, probably not going to win that fight no matter
No.
how many hours you put in.
Yes, agreed.
Right. So it's like when I say strength and conditioning is the supplement, it's like the philosophy we always operate with is how do we get the best result possible in the least amount of time?
Amazing.
Right. And the best result changes based off of the athlete and what they need. If an athlete has like a horrible shoulder problem,
Yes.
best result possible is how do we make sure we fix the shoulder without doing any extra damage to it while keeping them in the best shape so that they're in the best spot for their next fight.
How often do you think surgery has to come into play to fix things?
It depends a lot on the injury.
Okay.
Like we haven't run into too many surgeries, thankfully. But it depends on the injury. Like I had a guy that, he tore ACL, PCL, LCL. You're not fighting again without getting that fixed. Right.
Yes.
So it's like the serious injuries, I think surgeries need to happen, but it's if you can do without it and you can just keep your body healthy, we definitely want to do that first.
Do you think people train incorrectly?
Oh yeah. Because the old school mentality with fighting is just who can go the hardest,
Yeah.
and whoever goes the hardest
Work
wins.
through the pain. Don't be a pussy. Yeah.
Exactly right. I've had athletes come to me and say, like, I had one guy, he had a dislocated shoulder and told me that his coach at the time, like, basically was just like, dude, don't be a pussy, like, just keep training.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, like the shoulder, like the arm is out of the socket. Like, don't keep training with that. Like, right. That's one of the biggest pushbacks I get online is like people call my training like I've had people tell me like, oh, I'm training people to be pussies. And I'm like, by telling them not to train through serious injury, like,
yeah.
All right.
I know. Like there is that sort of mentality though, that just like work through the pain, push through the pain. Yeah, don't be a pussy.
Well, and think about it this way, though. If two athletes come into a fight, one has done twice as much training, but he has a dislocated shoulder, a torn knee, and a bad back, and the other comes in, he hasn't trained as much, but he's perfectly healthy, in shape, and ready to go. Who's going to win? The guy who put in more effort and then is broken to pieces, or the guy who's actually healthy and ready to go?
Yes, and it also comes down to the mindset. Because if that guy's all fucked up, knowing he's going in, like, through Perfect Sports, we have a number of fighters. And quite often I'll hear from their coaches, I'm like, who do you think's going to win? He's like, whoever comes in with the right mindset on that day.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it for sure.
Right.
But it's like, if your physical body is actually healthy and your mind's right,
that's a much better game.
If the other guy's got a good mindset, but he's broken to pieces.
I just don't know how you can go into anything. Let's just say a fight, for example, knowing that you're fucked up. I can't see you going in there with a positive mindset.
Of course not. Of course not. And people want to shove the negative mindset down.
Yes.
Right? Like, I know I've worked with athletes before where they're going into fights with bad injuries and like they're saying like, no, I'm good. And then it's like the fight starts and you're like, he's not good. Like you just know. And it's like, it's fair, but it's like guys need to be okay facing that and being like, yeah, I'm not good. And like, there are times where it's like, yeah, I'm not good. I need to pull out of this fight.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, nobody wants to do that.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
I've seen some guys, like I've a few, like again, I have a few fighter friends and I know guys have pulled out from fighting them simply because they just do not want to fight them.
It's possible, but like for the most part, fighters don't want to pull out of fights. But there are times where you should. Like if you're injured enough where you're like, I won't be able, like I know, like if you're going to go in and fight a big time wrestler.
Yes.
And you're like, I have a dislocated shoulder.
Yeah.
Well, you can't post on that arm. You're not going to beat that big wrestler.
But how do you say goodbye to that money?
I mean,
fighters are broke, dude.
I get it. But at the same time, okay, you say goodbye to that money this time. You heal up your shoulder.
Oh, I know, man. I know the argument.
You come back 6 months later, win, or you go into that fight, make the shoulder way worse, make your couple $1,000s, but now you're out for a year and a half because that arm got ripped further out of the socket and it's in way worse shape now.
Yeah, no, I hear the argument.
Right?
But
it's
then
like,
there's also the fear of that organization not being able to depend on you to be a fighter for them, and then they start to dismiss you.
Well, but then on the flip side, you go in, you have a terrible performance because you're all fucked
that's
up.
Fair too.
And then they go, oh, well, we don't want him back. He sucks.
Yes.
And then
fair.
now, you know what I mean? So it's like, I get not wanting to pull out of fights, but I think a lot of guys need to look more at their career longevity than at like, I'm a warrior and I'll fight through anything. Right? Because it's like, you're a warrior, great. But if you do that for 3 fights, you go 0-3 because you're all fucked up coming into all your fights. Now you got to go on a 7-8 fight winning streak before any of these big organizations are looking at you. If you look more at your longevity, you take better care of your training, you're coming into fights healthier, not 100%, still fighting, you're still going to have bumps and bruises. But if you come in and you're not severely compromised, you win those 3 fights instead of lose those 3 fights, your whole career trajectory is different.
That's valid.
Right? And it's like, it's just looking more at like, why are you here? You're here to build a career? Well, if you're taking all these regional scene fights totally fucked up because you're training like a savage, how far are you getting?
And there's something to be said about repeated losses affecting your mindset.
Right? Exactly.
What do you think is the greatest determining factor in an athlete's ability to recover?
Like from injury?
Yes.
Honestly, it's just putting the ego aside. Like it's a hard thing. I get it. Even for myself, like I say it and then I have an injury and I'm like, oh, I just want to get right. And then it's like, I got to kind of remind myself, like take my own advice too.
Yes.
But like one of my favorite examples, no disrespect to TJ Dillashaw, amazing athlete. But when he fought Aljamain Sterling for the title a few years ago, like his arm popped out of the socket 15 seconds into the fight or whatever it was.
Yep.
And then it's like he managed to make it to the corner. They popped it back in and then it popped right back out. And like he got dominated in that fight because he was fighting with one arm. He came out after. He's like, yeah, I dislocated 25 times during training camp, but I just kept training through it. And I was like, I was hoping that I could just catch him. And it's like, I can't remember the exact story. So if that's not perfectly right, don't quote me on it. But it's like if he had it dislocate the first time and then he took a week in training camp to like, take care of it, could that have maybe kept it in there a little longer and given him a better chance versus just being like, I'm just not going to worry about it. Just keep going. Now it's dislocated so many more times. It's basically hanging out of the socket when the fight starts.
Right.
Right.
In that particular situation, would that always be compromised for him now?
Probably. But if you can have it 80% instead of 25%,
Sure.
How much better of a chance do you have in the fight? And it's like, I think what guys forget too is like, if you train consistently, you're in shape, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you're confident in the fact that you're in shape and you know how to fight, if an injury comes up, don't go do those extra 15 rounds of sparring and make the injury worse. Give yourself that day to let that injury heal up a little bit. Like, I'd rather a guy have done a little bit less sparring and be healthy than done the most amount of sparring but have have their body all fucked up coming into a fight. Because it's like the healthy body and the positive mind knowing that you're much better off physically and mentally is going to be more beneficial than those extra few rounds of sparring.
I agree.
Right.
I agree. But I can also understand how it's hard.
I fully get why it's hard, but that's where I'm you gotta start
our own worst enemy.
Yeah. And it's like, I fully get why it's hard. It's hard for me too. And I'm the guy who preaches that.
That's right.
But guys have got to start looking at that better and be like, if you know you're going into a fight and you're like, there's no possibility that I can perform well today.
Right.
Why are you going in there? Like, learn that it's like, yeah, it's going to suck to have to say, I can't do it this time. But your career as a whole is going to be better off by you healing your body and going in healthy than
Generally,
you just
how long
breaking
do you
yourself
think
down.
The lifespan of a fighter is?
It depends on how smart you are with your training.
How
Right?
smart do you think fighters are?
I have.
You're going to get some hate fucking mail for that, dude. There's going to be some text online.
Next question, please. But like, all seriousness, I have started running into a lot more guys that understand the importance of longevity. So it's like, it's becoming less and less of an issue. I find there are still guys that, you know, are going to hear me say, sometimes you have to pull out of a fight and call me a pussy, and okay.
Yes.
But there are a lot more guys that are starting to understand, like, it's about the longevity more so. Like, your ability to fight for a long time depends on how well you take care of your body.
Sure.
Because
Yeah,
if your
I
body's
agree.
broken down by 30, okay, sorry. Like, if you can't make it through a training camp by the time you're 30 because you've never taken time to actually take care of your body, you don't get that long career that you see
Right.
these guys have, right?
Also, the problem I find with fighters is they never have, as we spoke earlier, a plan B. And that to me is the plan B is not giving up on your plan,
No.
but you're not going to fight forever,
Yeah.
right? So you need to either use your fame or the money that you're generating into translating into something else, being a trainer,
Yeah.
having a gym, most of them are teachers anyway. Most of them are like
Coaching at the gym
right?
or something. Yeah.
But that's what I think they need to look at themselves as a brand and what to do with themselves after their fight is over.
Well, dude, like, Sean O'Malley gets a lot of hate.
Yes.
To me, he's one of the smartest guys in the UFC.
Yes.
Because the guy was making millions before he even cracked the top 15. Like, you can't say that about a lot of guys. He was driving a Lamborghini when he was still unranked. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
From doing what?
Podcasts. He had a YouTube channel that was making a bunch of money, like doing influencer stuff, really. But
Good
it's
for
like,
him.
he was making so much money outside of fighting that it's like he was still training and taking it all really seriously, but he created a name and a brand. Like, people were following Sugar Sean O'Malley, not just watching his fights.
You have to admit that these personalities, Sean O'Malley, Conor McGregor, like these ones that are an entity unto themselves.
Yeah.
People like watching them. Like, I don't like,
course.
What's that fucking boxer's name? Dude, who's the boxer? Jake Paul. I can't stand that fucking guy, right? But I have to respect the fact that he markets himself in a manner so that I don't like him,
Yeah.
right? He's very abrasive. He's doing it on purpose so that you have guys like me saying, I don't like that fucking guy.
Yeah.
But where
what I've noticed with guys like Jake Paul too, the people that at least respect it, they don't necessarily like him,
Yes.
but the people that respect what he's doing
Yes.
are people that also have businesses. Like, the more people that I know that are successful, like very successful in their own right, at least they look at him and they respect what he's doing, because they're like, I see the thought behind it. I see what you're doing, the opponents you're picking. Whereas the people I know that are like, straight up just fuck that guy and they don't look any deeper, like they just think he's ruining everything. They're the people who in my head haven't made it as far. Like they don't see the thought behind it. They just see him as like, oh, he's picking these opponents. Like, yeah, he's picking those opponents on purpose because they're big names that he knows he can beat.
Yeah, but do you not think that discredits the honor? And I fucking 100% agree with you. But do you not think that discredits the honor of the sport?
I do. Like, I get why people don't like him.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, at the same time, you gotta look and respect what he's doing.
I respect his business.
In the way of like, he looks at it and he goes, how can I maximize this for myself?
Yep.
And then he does it in the most successful way that anybody's ever done it.
Yes.
Right. So the guys who are just like the guys who can, at least, you don't have to like them, but you can look at them and you could say, I see what you're doing and I respect the way you're going about it.
What he's doing, and I respect to how he is doing it and the success he's generated by doing it.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of offense from it. I take offense to it because, for example, my boxing coach, he's had students come in saying, they don't want a shadow boxer. They don't really want to put a lot of skill into it. They just want to film themselves, just doing the drills. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, you got to practice your drills and skills. And he's like, I'm just going to be an influencer. I'm just going to, I'm going to be like Jake Paul. So we're setting ourselves up for a generation of people that don't think the skill is important. The honor of martial art isn't important. And that's like, dude, I started training at 15.
Yeah.
None of this shit existed. There was no social media. There was, and it was all about respect and honor and gratitude. And I think we're losing that.
I completely agree. I see how that comes to be. One of the big things for me, though, is now you got to look and you got to say, okay, if you want to go the influencer boxer route, go the influencer boxer route. But if you actually look deep at Jake Paul's training, the dude's taking it incredibly seriously.
Yep, I give respect for that too.
Right. So it's like and I mean, obviously not everybody can hire the world's best coaches at their private gym or anything like that. But it's like the dude is taking it incredibly seriously.
I respect the fact that he's putting in the work.
So kids look at it and they get the wrong idea. But now it's like the kids have got to look at it deeper and see what's actually going into it. Right. Because if you look behind the scenes, what's going into it is a lot of extremely serious hard work. Yeah, he's abrasive and he does the thing and he makes the noise. But behind the scenes, he's backing it up. Yes. And it's like the kids look at it and get the wrong idea. But now it's up to and now I think what's going to start to happen is those kids are going to come into the gyms. They're going to go out of the gyms. But I also think there's going to be a lot of people that see him go, that's the route I want to go. And then dig deeper and go, damn, he's actually he's bringing these coaches in, paying them all this money to have the best coaches in the world at his fingertips.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually need to take it seriously, even if I want to be an influencer.
I do respect that he is putting in the work. I don't like the cherry picking of the opponents, but is that really that different from what happens in sports anyway?
Not
like if you were my
lot.
coach and I'm going to fight Aaron over there and you're going to be like, I don't know if that's really the best fight for you.
Yeah.
So I get it to a degree, but I have to commend him on the fact that, and he's also brought a lot of people to a sport that might not otherwise have been introduced to it. So respect to him on that as well.
And that's where I think a lot of people overlook. They see this dude comes into boxing, makes all this noise, makes all this money, and they go, what the fuck? Like all these people are training their whole lives and they're not making that. It's like, yeah, they're not making the noise that he's making. And you got to understand what it is at the end of the day. It's entertainment. It's business.
Right.
He's found the way to play the business game. And it's like, don't get me wrong. The skill needs to come first. He doesn't talk about that because it's not as sexy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the only reason that he's been able to make as much noise is also because he's backing it up.
And he also had the infrastructure prior to become like a figurehead where he can be as noisy as he is.
And it's like, I think what people need to do is they need to look at Jake Paul for what he is. And it's like, because really and truly, does beating a guy like Nate Diaz make you a world-class boxer? Of course not. But it's like, if you have no boxing skill, you're not beating Nate Diaz. Like if you've never boxed a day in your life, you throw a pair of gloves on, Nate Diaz is going to kill you.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that he's beating these guys shows that he's boxing, like he's actually doing it. He's just not world champion. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, look at him for what he is. He's an entertainer.
Right.
And when you can look at it that way and you can look at the business game that he's playing, I think it's easier to look at it and like, okay, I respect where he's going. If you look at him as like he's trying to, be a world champion and all that, I see why people don't like it. But I think when you look at it as like he's an entertainer and he's playing the business game.
But do you think his fights are predetermined?
I think he's better than people give him credit for. I don't know one way or the other of like rigging fights. I'm not going to say I think they're rigged or I don't think they're rigged. I think he's better than people give him credit for.
Do you think he legitimately beat Tyson?
Oh, that one I just didn't like any part of because it's like Tyson's too old, shouldn't have been in there. Like
I know, but I
just like I struggle with it. Like, was there like a payoff? I also don't see Mike Tyson taking a dive.
No.
I didn't actually watch it because I just thought the thing was too big of it. That one was too big of a circus for me.
Yes.
I didn't mind the 40-year-old MMA fighters. The 60-year-old boxer, I was like, all right, like we're pushing the limits here. Like,
yeah, I can't help but feel watching that fight because I wanted Tyson to fucking murder him. And I was so frustrated and disappointed when it didn't happen. But I also saw a Tyson not moving. Yes. And also understand that I've had many coaches and fighters on here who agree with you.
Yeah.
That Tyson shouldn't have done it. Tyson's old, blah, blah, blah. And because I'm 57 and I'm like, would I have performed that way? I just think Tyson moved in a manner that despite his age, I just don't think he performed well.
I mean, very, very possible, right?
But he's like, Jake Paul's what, like fucking in late 20s?
He's like 28 or something.
Yeah.
So it's like that one, I wouldn't never go as far as saying he took a dive. I didn't watch it. Like I watched some highlights. I didn't watch the whole thing, so I wouldn't be in a place to say one way or the other anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, he had a hard career. Even like growing up, you hear the stories of stuff he was doing when he was a kid. That takes it like he might be 58, but like with all the stuff he's been through, his body's probably closer to 75, right? Like
fair enough.
So it's like it might have just been he was too old and didn't have the ability to perform at that point. It might have been there were some rules set in the background. Hey, you can't hit him too hard or anything like that. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like to me, that one, like that was the first one with Jake that I was like, I haven't loved all the rest of the fights. Like I'm not like a huge fan, but I'm seeing them and I'm like, okay, call it what it is. It's entertainment. The old UFC champion coming up against this guy who's, not a world-class boxer. It is what it is. Am I going to tune in? No, but if you're going to, cool. So that was the first one where I was like, ugh, like I don't like this.
Yeah. I just had hopes for the old underdog.
I would have hoped for him too. Like I was hoping Tyson would win, but when I heard they were doing that, especially when he had that huge health scare like 4 months before, I was like,
delayed the fight.
Yeah,
yes.
I did not like that one.
Okay, so why would somebody come to you? How does someone know about their... See, the thing of it is that most people are not aware of their limitations.
Yeah.
Most people think that they just got it all fucking, figured out. And even, nutrition. Yeah. Fighters' nutrition is horrible. Athletes in general, their nutrition is shit. Thankfully, we're getting smarter.
Especially fighters, because they have weight classes, right? So in their minds, they're like, oh, I can't eat. Like I've had guys coming to me and like we don't tend to do the nutrition side because there's weight cutting specialists and stuff like that. Yep. So I have guys that I'll send them to. But I'll have fighters come to me and they're like, yeah, I eat like 1,200 calories a day so that I don't, get too high above my weight class. And I'm like, dude, you're a fully grown man. Like they're like little kids eat 1,200 calories a day. Like that's not enough to fuel a fully grown man training twice a day.
Yes.
Right. But their bodies get used to it. So they're so like starved for food all the time. Their bodies get used to that horribly low amount of fuel. And it just drastically negatively affects them again. Right. But with the strength and conditioning, generally people come to me for a few different reasons. Number one is they're doing the old school stuff. Like they're, doing the 10-mile runs every day and all that stuff and not seeing the results in the sport. Like they go into a fight, they gas out and they're like, but I'm doing all this running and I'm gassing out.
Okay.
And then they hear me say running's not the best method for conditioning. They're intrigued. They go, let me see what this is all about. And when you really break down what we do, it makes sense. You have a specific activity you're conditioning for. We're going to condition you for that specific activity. It's not about how much can you do. It's about doing the right stuff really well.
Okay. So if we were to take it away to being sports specific, could someone, just a general athlete who wants to improve their overall performance, Can you deal with that as well?
100%.
Nice.
Right? Because again, we build athletes, we don't build fighters. So
Nice.
it's like, what you come to me to get stronger, faster, more explosive, better conditioned.
Okay.
Now, again, we'll tailor that to the individual. But the way I always put it too is like, it's not sport specific necessarily, it's athlete specific. Right? So it's like, if you come to me and you're like, I had a knee surgery 2 years ago and the knee still bugs me all the time. And, I have this other issue and I have limitations. I can only get to the gym 2 days a week. Okay, well, best result possible within those constraints. We need to work on that knee as much as we can.
Yes.
We need to do it in 2 sessions a week. We have this limitation with equipment. We're going to figure out what's the best possible solution to put you back in a cage with the limitations that we have. And it's like, it's always about that. So it's like, guys, they're doing the old school stuff every day and they're not seeing the results that they want. They're not seeing the cardio, the unlimited cardio that they want when they fight. Or B, they're doing that kind of stuff every day and they're feeling like they're getting injured and they're not performing well in the gym. Right. And so they're like, okay, I'm doing all the conditioning. My body feels broken down. Hey, here's this guy talking about building your body up instead of just grinding hard.
Right.
Let's have a conversation with him and hear what that's all about. Or C, they just go into fights, don't perform well, gas out, and then they're like, okay, I need to change something. And so they hear me talking about the different things we do. It starts to kind of make sense. And that's when we'll start our conversations.
Do you train?
I do.
How often do you train?
Usually 3 times a week.
Do you think that is enough would you consider yourself an athlete?
I mean, not really. Like, I don't have any plans to compete with it. So for me right now, it's more just like learning and improving with it. And I dealt with some old injuries, some like neck issues and shoulder issues and stuff just from, being young and not training well. And so now in my 30s, it's a lot of rebuilding of mistakes that I made earlier. So my plan is to continue to increase that volume, but to increase it at a way that my body can actually handle it and that these old injuries aren't flaring up or getting worse or anything.
Do you do cardio at all?
Yep. So the 3 times a week is like martial arts.
Yes.
And then I I do like strength and conditioning, like my own type of training and stuff.
Outside of the 3 martial arts? Nice.
Yeah.
What martial art?
Kickboxing mostly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then I would presume that you tailor your strength and conditioning for kickboxing.
Yep. And there's like, right now, for me, it's a little bit of a mix of like, again, I've had this shoulder issue for years and it was one of those things. I dislocated it. And when I was like 19 or 20, never got it properly fixed. And then it's like, you start compensating for it. I realized like a year ago, I pretty much walk around like this. So it's been like years of fixing all the tightness and all the issues in the traps.
Yeah.
And like getting it so that I actually walk normally and don't have my shoulder hunched up to my ear all the time. So it's like, there's a lot of issues that came from that. And I've had issues in my hips and my back and stuff too. So right now, the strength and conditioning is fixing all of this while focusing on like performing for kickboxing. And then it's training kickboxing 3 times a week on top of that.
Okay. So that's a pretty heavy workload.
Yeah. And like for me, again, I'm not planning on competing. So I'm not, doing the twice a day, 6 days a week that a lot of these guys are.
Okay. But still, you're training 3 days a week with the kickboxing.
Yeah.
And then I would presume like 3 times a week with the strength.
Yeah. Usually 3 times is more focused. And then I'll do a 4th workout that's just kind of, get like just staying in shape, like not as focused on anything, but more just like keeping my body healthy.
So for your kickboxing,
yeah,
what kind of cardio would you do? Okay, go for it. What kind of cardio would you do?
Yeah. So the main thing for me right now, like a few months ago, last year, I had a nerve pinch and like a pretty serious one that's like, it was causing, I couldn't walk for like 6 months basically.
Wow.
So I was like really, really out of shape from that. So the cardio coming back from that was literally just get on a bike and go for 15 minutes.
Okay.
And like, as I was kind of coming back from a few of these different issues, now it's set up in phases. So like every 4 weeks, the cardio I do switches up.
Oh, nice.
And so the first block is all aerobic. So I'll do like one that's more of a steady state session that's just capacity for like 15 to 20 minutes. 2 of them.
What do you mean capacity for?
So it's just like I have 20 minutes on the clock and I'm just keeping the pace that I can keep for 20 minutes.
Okay.
And it's like, it's not the hardest session ever.
Sure.
But it's just, that's like building the size of the gas tank, basically. You're teaching your body maintain for longer.
Okay.
And then it's like, then the other 2 aerobic sessions when I do that block are intervals. So it'd be like 2.5 minutes, but the pace is much higher.
Yes.
Minute of rest, and then repeat that for 5 rounds.
Yep.
And basically the goal every week is just, I usually do them all on my air bike at home.
Yes.
And the goal every week is just whatever the rotations per minute on the bike sit at, the goal is just increase that a little bit each week.
Nice. Okay.
Right. And again, for me right now, it's more just health as we're going into the kickboxing and stuff. I'm not planning on competing. So I'm just like, if I'm just making a little improvement every week, I'm happy. The next phase will be more lactic. So more of like the muscle endurance we talked about.
Yes.
So basically it's shortening up the intervals, but shortening up the rest time as well.
Okay.
So it'll be like a 60-second work set. And so now the 60 seconds, you're trying to keep absolute highest pace possible.
Okay. Yes.
30 seconds to a minute of rest, and then repeat that 6 to 8 times.
Okay. And what particular exercise would you be doing for that?
What I would normally do with my athletes would be
Yes.
doing more circuits. So like a lower body exercise for 30 seconds,
Yes.
trying to keep the pace as high as you can, an upper body exercise for 30 seconds, and then that's your one work set. Do that 6 to 8 times. For me, again, because I'm not trying to compete, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I just do it all on my air bike because it just works better in my time. I have that at home. So I just like set aside time in the evening, and that's when it works best for me schedule wise. So is it the perfect result? No, but I'm not aiming to compete. So if I don't do the circuit exactly the same way, it's not as big a deal for me.
Right.
So I'm still getting the work in. I'm just getting the work in the way that's most convenient. Right. Whereas with athletes, I would ideally get them doing some circuits as well. But again, depending on the athlete, if they're like, the way my schedule works, I can only do this when I'm at this gym that has an air bike and doesn't have weights, do it all on the air bike. I'd rather see you do it that way than not do it.
Right. By air bike, you mean just the regular bike, or do you mean the assault bike?
The assault bike. Yeah.
That's a bitch.
Yeah. Sucks in the best way possible.
I have a machine at home, so I have that. So what I do for the strength conditioning on the aerobic level is I do like to run. But I watch TV, so I'll run for an hour.
Yeah.
Right. But my other cardio sessions during the week, if I'm not like unrelated to martial arts, is I use the assault bike. So I will do that, the intervals.
Yeah.
I've never done the one where it's balls deep for a minute and then minute rest. And so that minute rest, dude. Are you like stopped?
Fully stopped. And like you can be like, but like the goal of the minute rest is you're resting. So it's like, if you want to lightly pedal while you're going, that's fine. But it's like, you shouldn't be like trying to maintain any kind of pace in the rest time.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not worried if you're fully stopped or if you're still moving, but if you're still moving, you're not moving hard. Like it's just your feet are just kind of continuing while you're getting your breath back.
Per minute, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do the 20-40 split.
Yeah. The 20-40 is it's lactic as well, but it's just shortening up the intervals.
I'm going to try that 1 minute rest.
Oh, dude, it sucks.
So I have another machine. It's called a climber.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, you know the machine?
Yeah.
Oh, my friend from the treadmill factory gave me one. That sucks. That one is a motherfucker. So I do the intervals on that. But the 20-40, I don't think I could do a minute balls deep and then a minute rest.
Yeah, it's like, and the big thing with conditioning too is you've got to work it for where your body's at. Like when I start moving into more of the lactic stuff, I'm probably not going to go straight to a minute. I'm probably going to start with 30 seconds on and 60 off.
Okay.
Get yourself used to that a little bit and then increase it. Right. Because again, the same thing, you got to figure out what you're training for. And the lactic work, the key is you're trying to push as high of a pace as you can. So if I know like the first session you do, rarely are you going to get that real high pace for a full minute.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So it's like, if you try to go immediately into that, you crash 30 seconds in, you're not hitting that system as effectively as you can. Right. So I'd rather you start with 20 seconds, 30 seconds, really be able to push it. And then on week 3 or 4 of doing that, increase it. You know what I mean? Versus just start at like 100%.
Right.
And then not be able to do it. So it's about building your capacity, right? So it's like, and with some athletes, I'll do the same thing. We have a session in there and it absolutely murders them. I'll be like, all right, we're going to start with a little bit less, get you doing that really well, and then build it back up. Because the ultimate goal is that we're making improvements. And if you're trying to do too much and you're not able to do it and you just keep trying to do that, you're not making the same improvement as if you start here, do it really well, and increase it every week.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
It's the same thing like with strength stuff. If you're doing squats and you can't squat 400 pounds and you keep just loading 400 pounds onto the bar and trying to squat it, you're never going to squat 400 pounds. But if you take
Build
it
up to
down
it.
to 300 and do reps and steadily build up, 4 to 6 weeks later, you can probably squat 400.
What do you like for building up the hips? What exercises?
A lot of like glute bridges, like in the beginning if you've really got problems, body weight only, lying on the floor, just get the glutes actually firing. Mobility is definitely key. A lot of stuff, I don't even really know what to call it, but it's like standing in a squat stance, drop your hips as low as you can between the knees and just sit and hold that position.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't, in yoga, we call it, I don't know what they fucking call it.
So many exercises that like they have a name, but I didn't know the name. So I called it something else. But when I call it that, nobody knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
But it's like essentially you want to open them up
Yes.
in every different direction. So it's like whatever movement your hips are supposed to make,
Yes.
you should have a drill that's focused on opening them in that direction. Right. And whatever those drills are, I'm not as fussed, but it's like an internal rotation and external rotation, like the hip's a ball and socket, right?
Yes, yes.
So it should be able to move. Whoops, keep hitting the mic.
Yeah.
Should be able to move in every direction. And so you want to work on opening them in all directions, and then you want to work on strengthening them. So like any kind of squat variation, focus on actually sitting into your hips with it.
How deep?
With the lifts, my rule is as low as you can go without rounding your back.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
As a rule, there's times where we'll do knee over toe stuff where like you're going a little deeper into it.
Yes.
It's funny, like every question you ask, right? It's always like, as a rule, we do this, but like there's never any wrong answer as long as you can justify what it is you're working on.
Okay.
It's like the rules of martial arts all the time. Like my coach always tells me, he's like, we have our fundamentals of like, the footwork, how we're supposed to do everything. But the ultimate rule is hit him, don't let him hit you.
Yeah.
He's like, as long as that happens, you're good.
Right.
And strength and conditioning, it's the same kind of deal. It's like, as long as the end result is you're stepping into your sport as strong, fast, powerful, and well-conditioned as you can. Cool.
Do you think most people have generally tight hips?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, think about what we're doing right now. Your hip flexors are in the shortened position. Like people sit a lot.
Yes.
And that's going to be shortening up a lot of those muscles. Like you're sitting in a position that's not optimal for them. And so building up and like the hip flexors are another one that get overlooked a lot. You were talking about the one that I posted talking about like the banded raises.
Yes.
Love doing stuff like that.
Right.
Because it gets them activating more.
Huh.
Right. So it's about getting every one of the muscles in there moving and activating. And then when you're building strength, focusing on actually using them. So when you're sitting into a squat, it's not just get down, get up. It's focus on sitting back and actually feeling your hips and hamstrings working.
I think a lot of people just go on the old bro science, just know they have to do an exercise and they do it. And I've seen people fuck themselves with the actual technique of doing it. Yeah.
And that's why one of the most important things when we bring athletes in too is like we have a training app we operate off of.
Nice.
Every exercise has a video and then a step-by-step like focus on these 4 things while you do this exercise. So it's like, it's not just about squatting to do a squat. It's about feeling your hips, feeling your hamstrings, focusing on the way up, driving your hips up through your shoulders. And when you focus on that, even if it's less weight, you're engaging the right muscles more effectively. That's going to translate better to your sport than just squatting more weight, but doing it ugly with your back rounded and like using all the momentum and everything.
So you train a lot of professional fighters?
Yep, quite a few.
Do you train professionals from other sports?
Not anymore. Like I've worked with athletes across pretty much any sport you can think of over the years. But one of the big things with the business coaches coming back to them was if you try to speak to everybody, you speak to nobody.
Fair.
Right? If you see a weight loss coach online and they just go 3 tips to lose weight, like, yeah, there's 400 million of those on the internet.
Right. Or what I find disingenuous if how to lose weight and you're a fat fuck. Right? Don't be preaching to me, bitch. You got a fucking bag of donuts underneath that table.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's like, it's that part too, but it's like, same thing. If I'm just like, hey, athletes, here's how to train. It's like, you're not really talking to anybody.
Sure.
But if
that's
that
very fair.
same training tip is, hey, fighters, here's how to make sure your gas tank stays through the 3rd round of your fight.
Yes.
Now all the other athletes tune out, but all the fighters tune in.
Yep. Fair.
Right. And that's like, so when I had that discussion with my coaches, they were talking about it. They were like, who are your favorite athletes to train? Without hesitation, fighters. And the reasons were the individual side of the sport where it's like, I know that I can make an impact on your ability to perform. if you're a hockey player, you're one of 10 guys on the ice at a time. You're on the ice for a quarter of the game. Doesn't matter how great shape you're in. There's only so much impact you can have. And I've worked with hockey players. I loved it. But I love the ability to really know we get to impact how you perform, and how you perform impacts your outcome. Right. And then the second part of it was like, there's nothing more raw or real. Two guys are stepping into a ring or into a cage. One guy's stepping out. Right.
That's right.
It's like, I love that aspect of it, because it's just like, to me, it's the most raw, real thing that you can do.
I agree. I respect anyone who wants to perform better in a sport, anyone who's willing to put it out there and excel and be an athlete, but I just dig fighters.
Yeah.
I love the whole mindset of it. I love the fact that it's you versus me, no other bullshit, and one of us is walking out of there.
100%. And that's like I love that about it. And then it's like, the other thing too, man, is like, fighters have this reputation with people that don't follow it of just being these violent thugs. Yes. Right? When you're actually in the world, they're some of the best people I've ever met in my life. For
sure, man.
Like, some of the best people ever are people that I've met through this world.
I agree.
Right. So it's like every aspect of that, when my business coaches were like, what area do you want to focus on? It wasn't even a hesitation. I was like, these are my people.
Yes, I agree.
These are my people. I love it. And like, it goes back to the other part that I love so much about it. It goes back to the things we were talking about earlier of like, the old school mindsets and like I won't pull out against anybody. And it's like talking about so many of those things where I knew I could make such an impact of like, it's about so much more than just training. Your whole lifestyle has to reflect this, and your career has to be top of mind and making the right choices and doing the right things. Why are you choosing to do this? Is it to show that you're tough, or is it because it's actually the right move for you? Right. And like,
how many people
those
do you think actually have that conversation with themselves?
Dude, I think a lot of people do, but I think a lot of people are scared to make the decision that's actually right out of fear of disappointing other people.
Fair. Right? Again, a statement that translates into anything in life.
Anything in life. But it's like, one of my athletes in particular, I remember this conversation. He had a fight booked, dealt, unfortunately, just like a freak thing in sparring, like, something happened, bad injury.
Yep.
Had to pull out of the fight. And he was like, but for him, he was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm pulling out of the fight. Because he's like, I'm not going to be able to fight. He's like, if I'm not going to be able to fight, what am I trying to prove to this other, like, oh, it's because I'm tough? It's like, cool, now I'm tough. I have a loss on my record and probably out for 18 months and needing surgery. Right. And it's like, to me, the ability to say, this is the wrong decision for me to go through with this, so I'm going to make the right decision for me, even though it's going to upset someone.
But that's a business decision, though.
Absolutely.
Right. And I don't know. And, I used to shoot for Playboy, and I would deal with a lot of models, and they only looked at the now. They failed to see themselves as a commodity and how to make business decisions about themselves. And as a fighter, I do think a lot of them are not, unfortunately, savvy enough to look at themselves as a commodity.
100%. But they need to.
100.
Right. And that's where I feel like when I see a guy that's willing to do that to me, as much as obviously, again, the skill, the discipline, all of those things, top of the top. If you don't have that, you're not making it anywhere. But that secondary, like being able to look at the business decision and look at your career, to me, is so much more important than people give it credit for.
You know what, dude? I would even say that, because in your experience, would you not say there have been fighters that are very business savvy, perhaps not as skilled technically, but they are actually more successful?
Yeah.
Right.
But like, more so, even those guys, they're going to have the discipline and the work ethic, right? It's like, if you don't have that, if you're one of these guys that's coming to these boxing gyms saying, oh, I just want to film myself doing the drills so I can be an influencer, I don't want to work that hard, you're not going to make it anywhere, right? You're not going to become that influencer, because, dude, even becoming an influencer takes a lot of hard work, right? People don't get that. It's like, we just crossed 104,000 followers on Instagram.
Good for you.
Like, people look at it and they're like, oh, he puts videos on Instagram. There's so much more that goes into that. Right? And so it's like, even becoming an influencer takes a lot of really hard work. Jake Paul didn't just wake up one day with 48 million followers or whatever he's got, right?
Crazy, yeah.
The effort and time and money that goes into that is crazy.
Yep.
So the kids who want to half-ass it and become an influencer, they're not going to amount to anything. You need the discipline and the work ethic, But too many guys think I'm just going to have discipline and work ethic and make it to the top of the top and be the most famous, successful. No, you also got to have the business side of it and understand making the right decisions for yourself in your career.
I agree 100%. You need to know, you need to think of yourself as a product. How can I sell this product? How can I get the most people to buy or want this product? And unfortunately, many people don't. And it's not necessarily they lack the work ethic. Sometimes they do, but I also think they lack the knowledge. And what I think that
100%.
you do that's important is that you're providing the knowledge to the athlete.
Yeah, and that's something that over time I've realized is like another great thing that I can at least help with, is like helping with that kind of thought process of like learn, like, because really and truly, if you're an athlete, you're a brand and you're a business and you got to treat yourself like that. Because even like going back to what we were talking about right at the start, like the self-worth and all of that thing, I think a lot of people start into sport, they see themselves as athletes, but they don't necessarily see themselves as like, you know, worthy of like the millions and the fame and all of those things. So they don't put the effort into creating that side of it. They just put the effort into becoming a good athlete, thinking that that's going to lead to that.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
But it's like, if you don't truly see yourself as worthy of those things, you're going to sabotage your ability to get them. But if you can shift the mindset of like, yeah, I want those things, but also, hey, I deserve those things if I'm going to put all this work in, then you're going to make the right decisions. Coming back to Sean O'Malley, right away when he talks, like I remember seeing interviews of him from years ago being like, I want the success and the fame and the wealth. And he created the success and the fame and the wealth. And like he's created a great career as a fighter too.
Sure.
But
he hasn't fought in a while, has he?
His last one was June, I think, when he fought for the belt the second time.
And he lost, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
But like when you see yourself actually earning those things, you're going to figure out how to earn those things. When you just, like when you don't truly see it here, you're not going to create it.
100. I think, and you speak on two specific points. A, you need to believe that you are worthy of having those things, and you need to have a very clear picture of what it is that you want.
That's a big thing too, right? Because like that's something I've been thinking a lot more about lately, is like you gotta understand what success actually means to you.
And it will be different, dude.
100%.
Your version of success will be different from my version.
Absolutely.
Maybe the same, but it's likely going to be different.
Oh, it's likely going to have some similarities, but it's like, as my, like we were talking, my business has really taken off the last couple of years, which has been awesome.
Yes.
There's, you know, there's always that part of you being like, oh, I need to make more money. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then it's like, to me lately, I've been thinking a lot more about like, don't get me wrong, I like growing the business, and like the business side of it is fun too, not just the coaching side. I like the coaching side too.
Yes.
But I like playing the business game. It's fun.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's not, at this point, it's not about a number for me. I'm not like, okay, I need to make X amount of million. It's like,
do you know why that is though? Because now in your mind, and I can tell you because this was the way it was for me.
Yeah.
You've reached a number in your mind that has somehow come down to I'm successful. There's a number that you've reached, either in terms of monetary, in terms of social media, that you feel like, okay, I'm successful. Anything now above this is gravy, because I presume you're comfortable in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now you've reached a comfort level. You're not stressed about it anymore. The money doesn't matter anymore. When people achieve a level of comfort, and again, your level of comfort will be different than mine, but you've reached a level of comfort. So now everything is about what drives you though.
Well, now it's opportunity, right?
See?
And it's like, now it's opportunity, and it's like, I still want to grow. Like I'm definitely not at the point where I'm like, no, like no more. This is as high as we're going.
I don't
like,
think
no,
that will happen for you.
No, I don't think so either.
Because as when you were younger and you struggled through all those hardships, that would have been the time when you've been like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
That would have been the time you're like, you know what? Maybe teaching fucking Aboriginal studies is the way to go. But you didn't. So now you've reached a certain amount of success that you're comfortable with. Now you still have the drive for more, but it's not predicated on the need for survival.
Yeah. And now it's opportunity. And like I talked about that, actually, my business coach put on an event in August, and I was one of the speakers, and I talked about that. And I was like, you know, it hits a point where it's like, if you're just obsessed, like I know some people that make significantly more money than I do, And the focus is always like, well, I need the next number. I need the next number. And it's like, for me, I'm like, yeah, the next number sounds cool, but I'm like, I don't need the next number. I want to be able to pick up Sunday night, come to Toronto Monday, do a podcast here and fly back. Like those kind of opportunities to me are worth more than an extra couple grand in the bank.
Yes.
Right. And it's like being able to do that. We talked, like, I went to Vegas and spent like 3 months last year in Vegas, basically. Being able to do that, like all of these opportunities that come from the continued growth and the continued work mean more to me than seeing a certain number on the statement at the end of the month.
The way I conduct myself in business is I generally tell the team that we need to get two things, but one or the other, fame or fortune, and anything that you do, because quite often people seek fame only, and that doesn't necessarily translate into money.
Yeah.
Right. But quite often, if you play the two together, they will both lift. Right? With money gives you freedom. It gives you opportunity. It gives you an infrastructure that you can play with.
Yeah.
Fame, then you can use that to build your fame. Fame will bring you other kinds of attention, which will bring you more opportunities, which will bring you more money. Yeah,
exactly. And like what we were saying, like defining what success looks like to you.
Yeah.
Right. And for a lot of people, I think they get stuck in like, it has to be, the biggest number. Like the amount of people I know, because I business coach on the side now too, in the business coaching program that helped me out so much.
Good.
And
it's good that you give back.
Yeah. And like, there are so many people that come in and they're like, yeah, I want to make millions. And I'm like, do you know what goes into making millions? Like, do you actually understand that? Like, you're talking about it today, right? It's like, do you actually understand like the size of the business and all the stuff you have to deal with and the headaches and all that? Do you want to do you want the idea of like, it's cool to make millions of dollars, or do you actually want the life? And it's like, because if you don't want the life, you don't want the millions.
That's true.
Right? And it's like, you got to understand. And it's like, you got to understand what level makes sense to you.
Yes.
And like for athletes, some of them, that's going to be best in the world, millions of dollars, Conor McGregor, like that kind of, like when he was coming up, he wanted to be the most famous, best, whatever. He achieved it.
Yes.
Other guys, they don't necessarily want the, 50 million followers on Instagram and all that. They want, to be financially comfortable. And it's like, but whatever that is to you, that's what you should chase.
I agree.
Right.
But that's
it's
the problem,
figuring out
though.
what it is to me versus like, I'm not chasing the same thing that you're chasing.
That's
the
right.
same thing that this person's chasing. But it's like being able to shut that out, be like, oh, you want to do this? Cool. I don't want to do that. I want to do this.
That's right.
And then chasing that.
The problem is from that, the next step is actually formulating a plan, how to get from here to here.
Yeah.
And then actually having the worth ethic and the discipline so that when you're traveling and the inevitable fuck ups happen, that you don't like, oh, fuck it. This isn't for me. I'm out.
But also the distractions, right?
Sure.
Because it's like going from here to here. Like I said, right now, the number's not a thing to me. I'm in a group of people that they're making, like there are people in our mastermind program that are making absolutely stupid money. And like, there are days where I'm like, oh man, I gotta like, get to that number. And then it's like, I gotta remind myself, I'm like, no, I don't. I'm chasing this.
Yes.
Keep chasing this. Like, and it's easy to get distracted and forget and kind of, go off on somebody else's path. But when you can block all that out, figure out this is my path. This is what I want. Doesn't matter what anybody else wants. This is what I want. How do I get that?
So someone comes to you thinking they want to be successful. Like, I agree. Most people just like, I want to be rich.
Yeah.
I want to be happy. But most people don't have the concept of what that means to themselves. What does happy mean to you? What does rich mean to you? So if someone comes to you and says, I want to be rich, what's your questions?
So like an athlete, like, hey,
general
just
person.
Somebody, I mean, I want to be rich. First question would be like, what does rich actually look like? Because like, I remember when I was growing up, to me, I was like, holy, if I could make $100,000 in a year, like, and then it's like, as my business started growing and everything, I was like, oh, actually $100,000 a year doesn't necessarily go as far as you kind of think
Especially
it would,
now.
right? It doesn't go as far as you think it would. And it's like, so to me now, wealthy is, I don't have the fanciest taste in the world, but to me, wealthy is, I don't have to worry about money.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I can do everything that I want to do, have the things I want to have and not have to stress about it, I'm good.
So my question to you, because I was like that too. I had, in the beginning, it was like, okay, I want to make this amount of money for the business. I want to make you know, I want to make, I think the original number was 5 million a year.
Yeah.
And then it went to 10 million a year. Then it was $1 million a month. Now it's $50 million a year. And the number kept growing. So you just said that you want to have a certain level of comfort, that you want to be able to afford whatever it is you want in your life. But do you not find that your tastes are increasing?
They do. Yeah.
Sure.
And so, but then there's never, so like you said, 50 million a year. Why 50? Why not 49? Why not 55? Why that?
It was just a number arbitrarily. Now,
Exactly.
then it went to $100 million a year. And then, you know, in my mind, there's a certain number I want for all the businesses that I have that I want. And and for me, it's just that I am at a comfortable place in my life. And now it's just a drive.
Yeah.
It's just my drive to be number one. So what drives you? You said opportunity.
Yeah. And that's the big difference where like when I like there hit a certain point financially where I was like, I'm good.
Yes.
So now like when I think of like $1 million a year, that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
I believe it'll happen one day.
Yes.
But it's like, I'm not like, oh my God, I need $1 million. Like that's just not me. Whereas like, you know, this year I got to speak on a stage in front of 350 people. I got to fly down to Toronto to do this. I'm doing some work now with like some coaches that I've admired for a long time.
Amazing.
It's like being able to do that. Those are the things now that I'm like, oh, there's an opportunity to work with this guy. Hell yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah, those are riches of a different sort.
Exactly.
I mean, people that just merely fixate on the money are missing all those other opportunities.
And that's
those
what
are
I found
important
I got
too.
stuck in early. I was like, oh, I need to make this much every month. And if I make that much, and it's like, then I hit a point where I'm like, I don't really like, I want it to keep growing.
Yes.
But there's no part of me being like, I need to make this in a month. It was more just, okay, now let's see if I can create something and, you know, go do something cool here. We're working on putting together an event in Australia next year. Like doing stuff like that. And that requires continuing to grow.
Yes.
But it's not, that doesn't require this number, right? And I'm like, so this doesn't excite me. What excites me is the thought of going to put on an event and speaking in front of 200 people.
That's good. You're not a victim to the trappings of success.
Yeah.
Like the clothes, the cars, all that shit.
Yeah. And over time, like, I want to, you know, buy this thing that I like or do this thing, whatever. But it's like the number itself only matters as stuff that I want to do or stuff that I want matters.
That's a good mindset,
you know
brother.
I mean? Yeah.
So last question.
Yeah.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Ooh, that
fucks everybody up when I ask it. You know?
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a good question. It's funny, like, if you asked me a year ago, that would have been a very different answer. But
okay, so let's go there. Last year, what did you want your legacy to be?
Last year, it was purely focused in on combat sports and strength and conditioning.
Yes.
And now it was after speaking in August. There's like, I know there's such a bigger impact that can be made. I think that when, like, as my business and my life have evolved, there's a good story there of like, you know, lack of self-belief and all of these things. And I know there are so many more people that feel that.
Yeah,
and so many more people, like we were saying, that take the shitty job and just live I settled for this kind of life. And I feel like I have something in me to be able to help those people actually go after something that would fulfill their lives more.
I think that's a wonderful.
So I don't have the wording for it, but I want the legacy to be something around. I wanted my legacy to be something around like people are actually pursuing the life they want because they've watched me do it for myself.
Outstanding. And that exists today. That's what you see today.
That's what I see today.
I think that's amazing because I do agree with you. I do believe that there are people that don't know their self-worth.
Yeah.
I do believe that there are people who don't think they're capable of being great. Right.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the same reason why I do what I do. Because I do believe that we are all capable of being so much more than we are.
Yeah. And I think there are people in the world where they're happy with the, you know, okay, I just have enough to get by and whatever. And for them, cool. Like, that's great.
Yeah, I don't get it.
But if I don't understand it, but if that's you, that's you.
Yeah.
But if there is someone else out there that's settled for that when they have that urge, like I know I had that urge and I didn't understand it. But it's like, I want to be the voice now that when those people have that, like, oh, I want more, but I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get it. I want to be the person that they can be watching and being like, oh, that's how I find it. I don't know what it is, but that I'm going to follow him and I'm going to figure out what that life is for me.
Brother, I dig that, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
We out.